When Transformers the movie arrived in theaters in August of 1986, many fans were in for a shock as many fan-favorite characters met their end.
Such heroic nonsense.
While Starscream was killed at the hands of Galvatron,
will anyone else attempt to fill his shoes?
The ultimate fate of another Decepticon, Shockwave, was left ambiguous.
Decepticons, we're under attack! Scramble!
I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one, or purchase some merch on my Spring store today. Originally published in 2016 and remastered in 2018, my Shockwave Retrospective presented a brief history on the character in the Transformers franchise.
Rise, Shockwave, my most loyal servant.
We saw the differences in his personality, when his name was different for trademark reasons, to even mentioning his disappearance after the events of Transformers the movie. I do want to make a correction for that video, as it was a corrupt Senate in the IDW comics that stole Shockwave's emotions. I also want to commend the various voice actors who brought the character to life.
Such noble nonsense.
Soon, my liege. I just need to probe a little deeper.
He must be punished. You heard him. He's being insubordinate. Optimus.
You didn't think I'd build something so powerful such as you, and not have a way to control it. Now, sit there like a good pet.
Reports of my demise were greatly premature.
However, a lot has happened with Shockwave since then, and with the recent release of the original scripts from Five Faces of Darkness, we can now revisit the loyal guardian of Cybertron.
I am Guardian of Cybertron. Megatron appointed me.
In Transformers Cyberverse, Shockwave was a logic-driven scientist that was friends with Wheeljack before the war. Voiced by Ryan Andes, Shockwave joined the Decepticons and spent much of his time working on inventions and experiments in his lab.
Unnecessary. It is difficult being the only genius-level Decepticon.
The mad scientist's creations included the cortical psychic patch, mini drones based on his alt mode of a spider tank, and even a planet smasher built on Earth's moon. Shockwave also experimented on his fellow Decepticons, including Clobber,
Shockwave used to experiment on me with this,
and Shadow Striker. After the Decepticons captured Vector Sigma, Megatron and Shockwave planned to use it in conjunction with the Allspark to reprogram all Transformers into Decepticons. This eventually led to Optimus Prime to throw the Allspark across a space bridge. Millions of years later, the Allspark was returned to Cybertron, and under Megatron's order, Shockwave gave up his evil spark to corrupt and destroy the Allspark. However, the Allspark's guardian, Cheetor, sacrificed himself to purify the ancient Cybertronian relic. Shockwave also appeared in various Transformers comic crossovers, including Ghostbusters, My Little Pony, and numerous times against G.I. Joe, one of which modified his classic Space Blaster mode into a Cybertronian ship. This probably served as inspiration for a budget-friendly Generation Cyber Series figure of Shockwave that was released as a Walgreens exclusive in 2018. In that same year, voiced by John Bailey, Shockwave led the Decepticon attack on Cybertron in the Bumblebee movie.
Destroy the launch pad. Let none escape.
As part of the War for Cybertron trilogy's Siege toy line in 2019, Shockwave's new figure came with accessories to give the Decepticon scientist a little extra firepower. He also transformed into a Cybertronian ship, though fans found ways around that to represent his classic alt mode. In addition to an accessory included with the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Centaurian drone, Shockwave was also redecoed in gray to homage his original Galactic Man toy. It was this version of Shockwave that appeared in IDW's rebooted continuity, where he and Skywarp served under the command of X-Archon in Cybertron's distant past. Using his scientific expertise, Shockwave experimented with cloning technology, creating numerous clones of Skywarp, the Insecticons, and even a clone of Soundwave known as Sound Blaster. Years later, Shockwave served under Megatron's command as the Decepticons became known as the Decepticons. However, while this story is still ongoing, it is scheduled to end at the end of this year. Shockwave served as Megatron's maniacal scientist in the War for Cybertron trilogy's animated series on Netflix, voiced by Todd Haberkorn.
I will have to use more unorthodox methods.
Taking elements from both the original cartoon and comics, Shockwave chose to erase his emotions to improve his data capabilities.
Deletion of my emotions was the most logical choice to increase my efficiency.
Through his research on ancient Cybertronian relics, he convinced Megatron to go and act a plan to use the Allspark to de-res the Autobots and reprogram them into Decepticons.
A clean and decisive victory.
Using the corpse of Ultra Magnus, Shockwave transmitted a virus that wiped out many Autobot mainframes. After Optimus Prime sent the Allspark through a space bridge, the heartless one-eyed Decepticon then siphoned off the Energon from the sparks of any useless Transformer on Cybertron for the Nemesis project. This powered the mighty Decepticon battlecruiser, the Nemesis, enabling Megatron to pursue Optimus Prime in space. This also gave Shockwave extra power to defeat Elita 1 in battle, as she led a squad that included Autobots and freed Decepticons in setting explosives intending to destroy Kaon's arena. However, unbeknownst to Shockwave, the explosives still went off, killing off every Autobot and Decepticon within the vicinity. In my initial retrospective, I had theorized that Shockwave remained on Cybertron after Transformers the movie and planned to restore Galvatron back into Megatron once more. However, at a recent TFCon, Flint Dille held a panel where he released many of his scripts, outlines, and memos he kept from when he worked at Sunbow. This included the full script for 5 Faces of Darkness, which was born out of one of the numerous drafts of Transformers the movie, and was meant to be its epic sequel.
Last big party of the summer, folks. Let's go out with a bang.
Just once, couldn't your attitude reflect the gravity of the situation?
Not if I can help it.
Most of these documents can currently be viewed on the Sunbow Marvel Productions archive website, and the information there is astounding. In Ron Friedman's character outline, Shockwave was among the Transformers given the go-ahead to be killed in Transformers the movie. However, not all of them met their end, and the Insecticons were eventually added to that list. In the film's storyboards, Shockwave was to be killed at Unicron's hand as it scraped across Cybertron, also destroying the Decepticons' original base. While this never made it into the finished film, it was animated as the scene was shown in an animation cell on Earth many years later. Since he was never seen dying, it is possible that Shockwave survived Unicron's assault. Also, the Decepticons even used their space bridge to infiltrate Cybertron in the Japanese exclusive series, The Headmasters, lending credibility to the theory that Shockwave survived as well.
You see him die, you don't have a body either, you have no proof of death. That's the answer to that.
In 5 Faces of Darkness, Unicron's attack on Cybertron had decimated the Decepticons, which forced them to retreat to a burnt-out planet called Char. This would be their home base during Season 3, even after Galvatron returned to take command. To help them destroy the Autobots, the Quintessons fed the Decepticons some Energon. However, Blitzwing questions their generosity when he states he's met them before.
If only I could remember.
Because of this, he stays behind, later rejoining Galvatron.
I thought the tales of your survival were but wishful thinking.
After learning that the Quintessons were indeed planning to backstab the Decepticons, and that Galvatron wouldn't listen to reason, Blitzwing chose to convince the Autobots to stop the Quintessons from using a Transformer kill switch. Although his action saved all Cybertronians, Galvatron ultimately banished Blitzwing.
You will never be welcome in the ranks of the Decepticons again. Sometimes it's better to be known for one's enemies.
In a later episode, Starscream's Ghost, Blitzwing was supposed to be the traitor that Cyclonus and the Sweeps hunted into the Decepticon crypt. This is where he'd meet up with Starscream and eventually return to the Decepticon ranks. However, a memo from Sunbow about the episode changed it to Octane, since he was the new Triple Changer toy on the shelves. This forced the script to be altered to mention Octane's involvement in the episode Thief in the Night.
Interfered with Galvatron's orders. I swiped Trypticon and tried to become powerful enough to become the new leader of the Decepticons. He said I'd never be welcome back in the ranks of the Decepticons.
But as it turns out, according to Flint Dille's original story outline, these events were quite different. Shockwave, being one of the oldest Decepticons, would have been the one to question the Quintessons and in the end betray Galvatron. His reasoning was logically sound, as Shockwave would have deduced that Galvatron was in fact a lunatic. Unlike Blitzwing, who chose not to join the Autobots in the end,
Could I interest you in changing sides?
You have my respect, but I could never.
Shockwave would have been given permission to remain on Cybertron, though he is less their ally than Galvatron's enemy. Unfortunately, a memo from Sunbow requested that this story be changed since Shockwave's toy was discontinued, forcing Flint to rewrite the script to use a toy that was still being sold at the time. This also affected continuity in many later Season 3 episodes, which I've discussed in a previous video. Even though Shockwave was written out of the episode, ACOM's notable animation mistakes still use Shockwave's animation model in 2 various colors in 5 Faces of Darkness as well. Surprisingly, they didn't use Shockwave's early color scheme when he still went by the pre-production name of Flashbeam. However, none of these can be considered the character, as ACOM was known for using whatever Transformer model they felt like, even placing Galvatron on Char before the Decepticons left to rescue him, Skydive among the Decepticons, and even Bruticus was drawn next to the Combaticons. Had Shockwave been permitted to serve his original role in Season 3, he may very well have been the Decepticon to reconnect with Starscream, building on their previously established relationship in prior episodes.
You fool! We're partners!
I serve only Megatron.
This would have also helped maintain continuity between Season 3 and the first 2 seasons. Also, his logical reasoning to portray Galvatron would have been the first time that Shockwave would have behaved in a similar fashion to his comic book counterpart. It is also possible that he could have been responsible for later Decepticon technology, perhaps even restoring Galvatron's sanity and even rebuilding him as Megatron once again. Since these events do not happen this way, Shockwave was most likely crushed by Unicron's hand. But if he was to return, it is possible that it was the result of Cybertron's restoration at the end of the episode, The Rebirth.
This time we will be ready.
But what do you think? Would have Shockwave's involvement in 5 Faces of Darkness work better for his character, or do you prefer the change to Blitzwing? Could Shockwave in the G1 cartoon still be alive? And should 5 Faces of Darkness, under Flint Dille's supervision, be reanimated? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
Was the Combaticons? They locked us in here, and they forced me to threaten you, Megatron! Believe me!
He is lying.
All is not forgiven, Starscream.